that raises the minimum age to buy a certain type of gun. Florida Governor Rick Scott signed the bill Friday, the first gun control legislation since the Parkland school massacre.
The law raises the minimum age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21. Now, the NRA suit says that punishes law-abiding gun owners for someone else's criminal acts. The new law also allows some teachers to be armed.
CNN's national correspondent Athena Jones has details for us.
Hi there. Before signing this bill into law, Governor Scott praised the legislature. He also praised the students at Marjory Stoneman Douglas and the parents of the victims of that shooting in Parkland for their advocacy. He also talked about the compromises that were necessary to get this legislation to his desk just 3 weeks after that horrible shooting. Take a listen.
There are things in this bill that I oppose, and I've been pretty open about that. I still think law enforcement officers should be the ones to protect our schools. I've heard all the arguments for teachers to be armed, and while this bill was significantly changed on this topic, I am still not persuaded. I am glad, however, that the plan in this bill is not mandatory.
And that provision to arm teachers is by far the most controversial provision in this bill, one the governor, as you heard there, has consistently opposed. He argues teachers should teach. He said that again on Friday. And in fact, the Florida Education Association, which represents some 140,000 teachers and school staff across the state of Florida, had been urging the governor to use his line item veto power to veto the $67 million in this bill that was set aside for the program. He chose not to do that. He said instead he wants to talk with the legislature to make sure that any of that $67 million that doesn't end up getting used for these programs can instead be redirected to increase law enforcement presence on school campuses. The families of Parkland victims, several of whom spoke to the press after the bill signing, said that they see this as a good first step on the journey to making schools safer, and they urged states across the country to follow Florida's lead to harden schools, to increase security,